Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We're going to go straight to Houston, take a look at their accumulated precipitation map from January 1st just until yesterday. And when you look at this graphic, we still don't have the full totals on precipitation represented here. That black dot that you see right in there that represents they don't even have yesterday's data fully accounted for just yet in this data set. But you can see the massive spike here, this jump. This particular image is showing an additional about 15 inches of rainfall just in the last couple of days, and I'm anticipating when they put the final numbers in here, this is going to go up even higher. What's amazing is to see when Hurricane Harvey came through, that actually made it the wettest year on record for the Houston area. This is the amount of rainfall they got in that time period, just in the Houston region. Now, I was trying to explain to some friends yesterday about what this rainfall would be like for where I live. And there are places just north of Houston. I mean, take a look at this map, just north of Houston here, that have received potentially over 40 inches of rainfall just in the last 4 days. And where I'm at here up in Champaign, that's our entire year's worth of rainfall. And so the unfolding disaster that is going on right now in and around the Houston area and that part of eastern Texas is just incredible. And it's heart-wrenching to see what happens when Mother Nature concentrates so much moisture into one location. But I was taught at a very young age when I was starting off school studying meteorology that one of the worst disasters that we can have is a slow-moving hurricane. And that's exactly what happened here. It didn't even have to get to hurricane strength. But Imelda just slowly spun her way north. And as a consequence, we've seen what the damage and the destruction has looked like. What's left of Imelda right now is moving actually toward this section of the country. It's running through that branch there of the southern region. It's going to continue to cause problems. Now, meanwhile, I just want to show you something quite amazing. As the storms blew up here in parts of Texas yesterday, I got a great picture here. This was tweeted out by Jacob Riley, and he gave credit to Kyle and Alan for this incredible view of a microburst. So this is the downdraft of the thunderstorm. How we know it's a microburst, just by view of the picture, is the fact that the base of the rain shaft kind of flares outward. That just tells us that the winds are hitting the ground and spreading horizontally, telling us how strong the downdraft actually is in this particular system. So amazing to see some of the locally heavy rainfall events outside of what was left over from Imelda. Well, this is where we're going, and this has been a story we've had all week. Higher pressure has been dominating and will continue to dominate much of the southeast, and it's basically taken that moisture right over into this part of the country. So today, along this boundary, that will be our main focal point for having our severe weather. But anywhere that we're pumping in this moisture in this quadrant, so I just kind of circle a big area here, is going to have the potential for more showers and thunderstorms. Meanwhile, getting far over to the western edge of our southern region, we have to pay attention to these two tropical systems down here, as they might put some of their moisture here that eventually comes into Arizona and New Mexico. So just to show you what the total precipitable water looks like out of this, when I tell you the Gulf of Mexico is wide open, well, wherever you see these reds, that represents above average precipitable water content. And we can just see where that high pressure center is sitting, the moisture getting pumped into this area, wrapping itself up into a low pressure system emerging here in the northern plains. So this is very much juiced up and ready to go. And by Saturday, you can see the boundary kind of stretches in through this area. So it'll be this same region again, pumping in that moisture and focusing that rainfall right into this corridor. Meanwhile, high pressure is going to keep the southeast very dry. So let's just kind of take a look again at what we're expecting here. With that backdoor cold front that snuck through, cooler, drier weather. It's been quite pleasant across parts of the southeast. But like I said, we are really focusing our moisture into a narrow corridor into this sector, and it's going to be very problematic for those folks in the coming days. Storm Prediction Center is highlighting a couple of regions, but they're outside of our southern region here. So today, I'm going to be watching the high plains right in through here, getting back into Texas for our severe weather threat. And all through this area, we have a general thunderstorm risk. Things get a bit more concentrated, if you will, on Saturday as the front really takes better shape. So all along that area, you just saw it, we saw convergence in the low-level winds. In other words, they were coming from this direction here, from that direction there, and the air rises rapidly along that boundary. In addition to that, we're expecting quite a bit of heavy rain. We'll talk about that in a second. Even getting out to Sunday here, this is Sunday morning to Monday morning, that boundary just slowly lingers and moves. So that high pressure cell that's sitting here is just preventing this front from getting too far. So there's going to be a corridor in through here that we're going to watch for some extremely heavy rainfall. In the near term, let's just animate out for you the high resolution NAM model. You can see all of these players coming together for us as we just step through the next 60 hours or so, getting out to about 1 o'clock on Sunday. So starting you off this morning, you can see what's left of Imelda still moving through parts of northern Texas into Arkansas and parts of Oklahoma. But we need to also turn our attention back further to the west as we get through the heating of the day. Because what you're going to see is by mid-afternoon, widespread storms popping over here in this part of Texas, afternoon into early evening. Now you're like, wait a minute, what happened to Imelda? Well, let me tell you, the moisture's still there. It's still advecting to the north. And then by the time we get into Saturday morning, so here we go, this is Saturday morning, getting through Saturday middle of the day, you can even see the boundary here. And we're going to watch that same boundary with the afternoon heat and moisture. There it is. It lights up again with lots of showers and thunderstorms. And this boundary is just going to have a hard time pushing to the southeast. And as a consequence, it's going to stay there for quite some time. And just getting you through the day on Saturday and Sunday morning, it's just repeated showers and thunderstorms along this northern edge of our southern region here. So we put all that together. I'm going to go ahead and let this go all the way out through the next 9 days, the National Blended Model. Now, I've stated in the past, when we look at this, we're trying to identify the corridors of heaviest rainfall. So you can definitely see this area showing up. Now, some of these rainfall totals for Missouri, for Oklahoma, and Kansas might be overdone a bit. We're talking about excess of 6 inches here. But I've always told you that the National Blended Model tends to paint a worst-case scenario in terms of total accumulated precipitation coming, but the potential exists there for an additional 3+ inches of rain inside that region I colored. Meanwhile, it will only be hit or miss showers and thunderstorms, if any, in parts of the southeast as higher atmospheric pressure hangs on for several more days here, really kind of pushing things all around its periphery. We call this ring of fire precipitation because there's a ring, you can almost see it, of action around that high. And that's just where the moisture pump kicks in and stays going. And meanwhile, one last thing to point out, some of that tropical moisture getting up here into parts of Arizona, potentially some local flooding there as we may get better than 1 inch to 2 inches of rainfall out of that region due to some tropical moisture getting into that area. Now, we need to put all this in context. So we're going to take a look at our latest drought monitor map here. This came out on Thursday. And the thing that will be changing, of course, is the drought situation right in through this corridor where Imelda went through. What is most striking about this is the increase in drought area that we've seen over the southeast, which has been quite dry, protected by high pressure for a while. Just take a look at the 1-month drought monitor class change map. So we just look over the last month, we can see that we've had several locations across the southern region that have seen a 1 and 2 class degradation. Meanwhile, Dorian kind of wiped out some of the drought that we were dealing with here in coastal Carolinas. We have had around some of the drought regions and parts of Alabama and Georgia some relief, but overall we've seen an expansion of drought as we've really only seen best spotty showers and thunderstorms during this time period across much of Texas, getting all the way over into the southeast. So that's an important map to take a look at here as we progress into fall. Now, the pattern that we're having a hard time shaking here is one where we keep featuring these troughs in the western United States. And if we keep developing these troughs in the western United States, that is a pattern that at least through the end of September is going to keep this ring of fire type setup going. So the ridge is here, the trough is there. You know, what I always say is it's always between the trough and ridge, right in through this quarter that you have your most, most active weather, best chances for producing low pressure systems and a lot of rainfall. But this ridge will definitely be keeping things warm here, but very cool in the western United States. So it's this quarter we're going to have to keep a close eye on as we progress through the end of September. And let's just take a look at what this does on looking at one of our longer range models here. So as I play this out, we've already seen through the weekend. So this is Friday into Saturday and into early Sunday morning. And the name of the game is going to be the strength of this ridge. You can see it in the isobars here. Just pumping moisture all around the periphery, stretching from parts of western Texas right through the state of Illinois. This whole quarter and through here is what's going to get hammered while the southeast stays relatively dry. Now, as I play forward here, this gets us out to Monday. We see the front trying to move a little bit farther to the south and east, but it doesn't get very far before high pressure takes back over again in this area. So getting out to next week, I just played you through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's do it again real quick. Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday. What do we see? The same area setting up again on the flow around this high. And that's why that national blended model is saying that potential exists in here for some very, very heavy rainfall, while the southeast is kind of blocked away from getting much of this over the coming days, kind of taking us out here to the end of September. And look, the models just can't quit. They just keep putting that moisture in that same corridor here. So I want you to focus more on that map I showed you earlier, the blended model map, to see where the heaviest rains are going to be. Then every single day we're going to have to take a look at this forecast and see how much rain we're going to get. But when it's all said and done, I'm anticipating quite a bit through that region we've highlighted. Temperatures today, take a look at these temperature anomalies. We can see the cloud cover and the cooling due to Imelda here. That backdoor cold front doing its last bit over here, keeping temperatures cool. But take a look at where they're going over the coming days. So this, again, is Friday's high temperature departure from normal. And as we play this out, this now gets us into Saturday's differences from normal, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, to Wednesday, and next Thursday. And hopefully what I wanted you to see here was that after this pattern gets established, we're going to go back over into a much warmer than average pattern in through here, while the west and parts of the north central United States cool off a little bit. We can see this maybe a little bit better by just looking at the next 5 days in terms of temperature anomalies. So again, that flow pattern featuring the broader trough here, got the warmth surging out ahead of it, and so the warmer pattern kicking back in. And you did notice that the cooler weather that we were getting over here in the southeast is kind of fading with time. But look at this, by day 6 through 10, this is where the pattern's really well established with that trough in this area, broader ridge setting up over here. And that is really going to help keep us, once again, on our warmer than average track here as we progress into fall. Remember, fall starts technically on Monday, so that is the equinox. And then taking us all the way to days 11 through 15, I mean, there's not much of a difference here when we kind of look at the temperature patterns stretching out, to the very beginning of October. So that's going to be the name of the game. It's going to be this trough ridge pattern, and the intersection in between that, where that stationary boundary is going to just really be, clogging things up in the middle part of the country. Certainly going to be the corridor for heaviest rainfall. But the only good news I have for you is that at least over the next 5 days, we don't have to talk about the tropics anymore, because the systems we're watching right now coming here, sneaking through the Lesser Antilles, one that we're going to watch some development here south of the island of Hispaniola. We won't have much information on this until we get largely into the middle of next week. And at that point, we'll have to have a better discussion about where that's going. And the very good news is Jerry. So National Hurricane Center update. Remember yesterday I said we had a few ensemble models members that were trying to take this in the Gulf. Well, we now see the broader ensemble packet here keeping this thing off the shore, and I think the National Hurricane Center's got this one nailed down pretty well here. It would be exceptionally rare for this particular system, given the steering currents are at this point, to push over into the Gulf of Mexico. So this is just an important update. The good news, we can back off on talking about the tropics for at least a few days here as it pertains to impacting the United States. So right there, I think that's a good, at least a positive note to wrap up with, and I'll do it at that, okay? Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again next week. Thank you.